Spot's Busy Day in the Bushveld by Tanja Nayak, illustrated by Nate Myers. The sun rises behind the Lubombo Mountains. It is the start of a beautiful day in Africa. A flock of ibises fly across the clear blue sky and give their characteristic hardy-da call as they greet the day. The birds wake little Spot, a cheetah girl cub, her two older sisters Duma and Kaya, and their mother from their quiet repose. The cheetahs have spent the night in the safety of a small clearing in the midst of some jackalberry trees near a waterhole. Mrs. Cheetah gets up. She stretches her long legs and arches her back. She is a magnificent cat, lean and muscular, with a lovely spotted pelt and a striped tail. Spot reluctantly opens one eye and then pretends to still be asleep. "Wakey, wakey, rise and shine," her mother says brightly. "Oh, Mom, can't I sleep just a little bit longer?" asks little Spot. "Time waits for no one in the Bushveld, my dear," replies Mama Cheetah wisely. "We need to be on the move. Mrs. Ndlovu and her elephant herd will soon be here, and we don't want to get caught underneath their feet." Sure enough, a trumpeting sound is heard resounding loudly through the Bushveld. The cheetah family hastily scrambles along out of the elephant's pathway, as do a flustered flock of guinea fowls. The cats and the birds make their way to the open plains of the savannah. The guinea fowls cluck excitedly and wake Mr. Owl from his morning sleep in the branches of an acacia tree. "Who's there?" asks Mr. Owl. Spot looks up to see a large Burroughs eagle owl roosting in the topmost branches of the tree. "Good morning, Mr. Owl," replies Spot. "Sorry to disturb your morning sleep." "Hello, Spot," replies Mr. Owl. "Not to worry." The owl closes his pink eyelids and continues to sleep for the remainder of the day as owls do. "Come along," says the middle cub Duma. "Let's head toward the river. I am thirsty." "Me too," agrees the oldest cub Kaya. Mrs. Cheetah leads the way and the cubs follow close on her heels. Spot is surprised to see an energetic pack of wild dogs on the move. The dogs yip and yap excitedly and swiftly disappear into the Bushveld. The three cheetah cubs and their mom quench their thirst from the banks of the Crocodile River, then head back to the plains. Mrs. Cheetah keeps an ever-watchful eye over her offspring as they relax. The girls are in a playful mood and play a rough-and-tumble game of tag. They then enjoy a snack of guinea fowl. Mrs. Ndlovu and the elephant herd are having fun. The entire herd enjoys splashing around in the water and rolling in the mud at the waterhole's edge. The mud will protect their skin from the harsh rays of the African sun and also keep nasty biting insects away. The elephants finish their morning drink and make their way through the bushveld in single file on a dusty game trail. Spot's best friend Stripe, a plucky honey badger, appears. "There's a beehive in the old baobab tree," says Stripe. "Want to tag along?" Spot looks over to her mom for approval. "Yes, but just for a little while, Spot. And take your sisters with you," says her mother. "Don't worry, Mrs. Cheetah. Your daughters are always safe with me," says Stripe. The friends reach the baobab tree. Stripe enjoys a quick snack of honey. The four friends bathe contentedly in the warm rays of the morning sun. Spot lazily watches a colorful white-fronted bee-eater warm itself on a baobab branch in the sun's rays. The bird's impressive plumage gleams in the early morning light, with flashes of gold, green, blue, and red. A troop of baboons moves along through the grass, foraging for their breakfast. Mrs. Baboon carries her youngest on her back. A mama rhino and her baby are next to arrive on the scene. Mrs. Rhino is a very large mammal with a sturdy body and a thick leathery grey hide. She sports two impressive horns. The baby rhino runs playfully in circles around the baobab tree, kicking up dust. The animal friends giggle at her amusing antics. "Good morning, little Mopsy," says Spot. "Good morning, Mrs. Rhino," says Stripe. "Hello, Spot." "Hello, Stripe. Nice to see you, Durama and Kaya," replies the little rhino. The rhinos then continue on their way. "Chee, chee, chee," shouts an excited tree squirrel from the spreading branches of a nearby sycamore fig tree. A grey lory bird sounds the alarm call. "Go away! Go away!" Spot and Stripe immediately run over to see what the cause of all the commotion is. "What's wrong, Mrs. Squirrel?" asks Spot with concern. "A dangerous boomslang is after my children," says the squirrel. "He's after my chicks too," says Mrs. Weaverbird excitedly from her nest. Spot and Stripe look up and see the green snake slithering effortlessly through the branches of the tree. Spot immediately jumps up with her front paws placed on the trunk of the tree without a smidgen of hesitation. Thwack! Her paws make a loud noise. Stripe swiftly climbs the side of the tree. The boomslang is surprised by the two friends and loses his concentration for a moment. He loses his balance and falls to the ground with a resounding thud. The reptile slithers hastily away, never to be seen again and never to disturb the peace again. "Phew! Thank you, Spot. Thank you, Stripe," says Mrs. Squirrel with a considerable amount of relief. "You saved my children." "No problem, Mrs. Squirrel," says Stripe. "It is what any honey badger worth their salt would have done." "Thank you," tweets Mrs. Weaverbird. "You're both welcome," says Spot. "We are happy to have saved the day." Mrs. Cheetah calls Spot and her sisters. The cubs then bid Stripe adieu. "See you tomorrow, Stripe," says Spot. "And thank you, you're a true hero." "And you are a heroine," says Stripe. "See you tomorrow. I'm off to take a long nap now." The cheetahs rest in the shade of the jackalberry trees by the waterhole and watch a steady herd of game coming to the water to slake their thirst. The scene unfolding before Spot's eyes is like a beautiful dream that never ends. Mr. Kudu heads to the water with his head held high, proud of his evenly matched long spiral-shaped horns. The impressive antelope is followed by his graceful wife, as well as two pretty dainty daughters. The kudus are followed by herds of zebras, wildebeest and giraffes, then impalas are next, and so on. The hours pass by and the hot African sun gradually makes its way ever higher and higher into the sky. The menagerie of animals gathered at the waterhole truly is a beautiful sight to behold in Africa's unspoiled Eden. Spot watches a herd of buffalo arrive at the waterhole to quench their thirst. A pair of Egyptian geese at the water's edge are first to notice some lion cubs playing by some shrubs on the other side of the waterhole. The geese quack loudly to draw attention to the presence of lions. A lion and lioness emerge from the dense vegetation a moment later. The lioness quenches her thirst. The cubs playfully tug on their father's tail. It is now late afternoon, and the lion pride is beginning to slowly stir after their long sleep during the day. The buffalo are unconcerned by the lion pride's presence. They have safety in numbers after all. Spot observes the buffalo herd moving away and then sees Mr. Ostrich arrive at the waterhole with his wife and brood of chicks in tow. Mr. Ostrich looks like he is kitted out for a fancy ball in his neat black and white feathered suit. Impressive savanna birds, a pair of Cory bustards, a tall secretary bird, and a lone ground hornbill look for food in the tall grass near the waterhole. A long-legged saddle-billed stork and spoonbill stork wade gingerly and slowly along through the shallow water at the waterhole's edge as they look for fish for their afternoon tea. The sun begins to set behind the far escarpment of the Drakensberg Mountains, and the day begins to cool. The animals have now all gone on their way back into the Bushveld, and soon the daily activity at the waterhole has almost subsided, except for the cheetahs who are still resting in the midst of the jackalberry trees. It seems like no one is there. Mr. Fish Eagle says farewell to the day with his characteristic kia, kia, kia call. Suddenly Tsoko, a vervet monkey, sounds the alarm call from the top branches of an acacia tree. He has spotted a powerful big cat. Mrs. Leopard and her two tiny cubs are coming down from the kopje where they live for an early evening drink. The cute and cuddly cubs, Rose and Paisley, follow closely and silently on their mother's heels, on well-padded paws. Shy leopards come to the waterhole, lap quickly at the water, and then slink away undetected into a thicket. The leopards are well camouflaged thanks to their beautiful rosette-marked pelts. When the sun goes down, a leopard's day has just begun. The mother leopard will be awake throughout the night, then sleep during the day. Spot yawns and cuddles up to her sisters, then falls into a deep and restful slumber in the safety of the clearing in the jackalberry trees. Her paws twitch as she remembers the day's adventures and running through the grassy savannah. Who knows what exciting events tomorrow will bring? This is the Bushveld after all, and you never know what is around the next bend of the fascinating Crocodile River, or what you will find on the plains of the savannah.